Okay, already. This season, we're coaching someone through what so many of us go through.
I'm Alison.
I'm Michelle.
Meet Sophie. She stayed too long, she'll break up, she'll heal, she'll date, she'll spiral. She's you, she's us.
We'll walk with her and you through every phase, from heartbreak to wholeness.
If you're tired of the chaos and ready to thrive in singlehood and in love,
Welcome to season 3. Oh,
That was
so
so
close.
good.
Recording. Hello, hello,
Hello
hello.
again. Still got
Welcome
my
back.
kink in my neck.
Ah,
Welcome back.
yeah. So, it's been a while,
It's been a
which
while.
is why Sophie has been also single for a while. We're moving on to a new stage in her singlehood journey.
Yeah, it's been nearly 4 months.
Yeah, and she's feeling a bit stuck. She's feeling a bit lost, you know. She's gone through a process, but at a certain point, she's feeling like nothing's really changing, and it just doesn't know where to go from here.
I think you'll be better. Yeah, you'll be able to speak to this because you went through that long single stage.
Yeah.
The longest I've ever been single, um, I I without like a official relationship.
Mhm.
It was probably 3 years, but like single, like not seeing anybody ever, maybe 18 months.
Yeah. So I was actually
Uh,
single. Sorry.
no, go.
I was single for 7 years from start to finish, but I did have a few, like a month here, a month there, two
Yeah,
months, 3 months, but not anything official. I don't know how long it was, like just with myself without any dates, probably about a year or two in a row. But
mm,
I think like you feel it's a funny feeling because at a certain point you feel like your life is getting better and you're thriving and you're happy, but then on the other hand you also feel very stuck and you feel very lost
yeah,
because you haven't found someone and you're just getting further away from finding someone and you feel like it's never going to happen, and you sort of say goodbye to the idea of ever getting
mm,
married and having kids like everyone else around you. And especially with, which ties into Sophie's questions for today, especially with, all the social pressure around you. I think even today when, it's a bit looser and people are getting married later and it's been a bit more popular to be single, I think there's still a lot of pressure because at the end of the day, even if it is amazing to be single, even if, it is more accepted, at the end of the day, we all want to have someone at the end of it. It's not as if
I mean,
not
I think
everyone,
the
but I
truth
think yeah.
I think the truth is that being in a good relationship is always better than being single, even when you are completely
Yeah.
happy being single.
eh, Yeah. Yeah. And I think that pressure and that, feeling is just it creates panic, and it
Yeah,
creates like, oh my god, what I need, I can't waste any time, I need to find someone. So when you reach
yeah.
the point like Sophie in your singlehood where you're feeling stuck and lost, time seems to move much faster and you're like, you feel like you're just throwing this time away. And especially,
But
when everyone around you is getting married and having kids, and then what about you? When are you gonna have settle down? It just, it
I mean,
feels
especially so looking if Sophie's looking at her friends who have kids, and she's like wants kids, and I have people in my kind of life, not close friends, but like people in my periphery,
yeah.
um women who are getting into relationships with these kind of subpar guys. And I know that they're doing it because they are wanting a child and they are thinking in somewhere in the back of their head, it's fine, I'll just be a single mom. Like, I'm just going to get pregnant
Yeah.
and we'll just try. And then if it doesn't work, I'll just be single. Like, don't do that.
Yeah.
Don't do that. Being a parent is so hard. It is so difficult. And I'm a bonus mum, and like being in that dynamic where the child is being moved back and forth, it is so unfair on the child. Just don't do that.
Yeah.
Take the
It's very
time.
selfish. I'm sorry to say that, but it is.
It is. It is absolutely, absolutely. People saying that having a child is selfish, you just don't get it. I mean, and I'm not saying that's what you just said.
Yeah.
I know, it's just
Yeah.
if because having a child, you give so much of yourself. However,
Yeah.
if you then decide to break up and have your own life because having a baby is cute, but that's selfish, and that's
Yeah.
just absurd. And
Yeah.
JT and I actually had a conversation recently about, sorry, I'm just
No.
how he breaking up with his ex, like, I'm not complaining about it because obviously I met him, but it was selfish. It was
Yeah.
that was and it,
But I
like,
think bringing a child in, sorry, what were we saying?
no, yeah, I was just mumbling.
I think bringing a child into a situation where you know it's going to be difficult for them, that's selfish because you want
Yes.
a child so bad that you're willing to let your child go through a very difficult situation.
Yes.
If you get married
Yes.
not knowing that you're going to get divorced and you really believe that this is it, that's one thing. But to get married saying, I just want to have a kid and that's it, then, that's not very, and it's not very fair to you either because you're sort of blocking yourself from actually meeting a person that you would love to start a family with and love to be with. And a lot of times, out of the panic of where Sophie is right now, we jump into all the wrong relationships
Yep.
because we can't imagine it ever being any better, or we don't believe that we will find someone.
Yeah.
And so,
Yeah.
moving
I mean, let's
into,
like
yeah,
her questions. Yeah. Like, her first question is how to deal with this pressure from her friends and family who keep asking why she's single. I mean,
go on.
I told them to fuck off.
Well, yeah, but I think first of all, I would love to give them the benefit of the doubt and not assume that it's coming from, a bad place. I think you first want, I mean, I've been through all of the feelings, so I know how hard it is, and I know that
Mhm.
but because of that, looking back at it, and I'm saying, I think you first have to, for yourself, is learn how to be calm in these situations and learn how to not take things so hard and so serious and just not be so dramatic about it. Sometimes people just really care about you and they don't know any better. I remember having this conversation with one of my best friends at the time, and she was just genuinely concerned and interested at the same time. Like, she was like, she couldn't imagine ever, enjoying being on your own because she never really had much time on her own. So she was first of all like just genuinely interested in knowing what it was like for me and if it was truly happy. And also because she wanted me to be happy, she wanted me to find someone that that would add to my life. And I think it's important to first, well, obviously make the distinction. Don't just give people the benefit of the doubt even just because. But I think it's important to make that distinction of when someone's genuinely trying to show interest and trying to care and trying to help, and then someone who's just being annoying or being petty
Yeah.
or just trying to make you feel bad, which is downright disgusting. But I think, just, you know, just look at it as positive as you can because people do genuinely care. And if they don't, then just who cares what they think? A lot of times it just comes from ignorance, and it comes from people who've only ever been in relationships, so they don't know, and people who are probably miserable in their own relationships, so misery loves company, and they want you to be as miserable as they are.
Yeah. That's why I said that you'd probably be better at this part than me, because I would just get angry too easily, but I think that's a bit my temper as well.
Yeah. No, I have gotten very angry very easily, which is
Yeah.
why I'm saying this. It's like, I've learned
Mm.
from that, the only person who's gonna suffer from it is you. And I think in general in life, I've worked on myself a lot to just take things easily and not get insulted and not take things to heart so
Yeah.
much and just, chill. Like life is just, what's the point of taking everything so hard?
But I think when you are in your 30s, because last time I was single for a while was in my 20s, and I think it's a bit different when you're in your 30s because people have gone through what you've gone through of
Yeah.
of A, not taking things to heart, and B, like formulating better, questions and sentences, and
Yeah.
as I'm struggling with right now. But they are better at voicing their opinions and like their concern. Because I think today, if you're in your 30s and people are still kind of being intrusive, like people haven't grown up. But I think if it is exactly what you said of just like, for themselves, like, and genuine curiosity and interest, they will phrase it in a way that doesn't come off aggressive or negative. Because I
Yeah.
used to hear that thing of just like, you're so pretty and you're so clever and you're so nice. Why are you single? I was just like, well,
Yeah.
that is the worst thing I could hear. And I would tell them, I would say, listen, like that is so hurtful. I know you mean it in a very complimentary way, but
Mm.
it is very hurtful because if I am such a catch, what's wrong with me, quote unquote, that's fundamentally bad. It would hurt. And think, but because Sophie's gone through the whole like owning it, she's able to kind of, not take it personally. But at that stage, it's difficult. I get it. And it's just kind of, if you feel that people are saying it with genuine interest, but in a sense of like they don't understand, you can kindly say it's none of their business. And if it is coming from a place of like curiosity, of just kind-hearted curiosity, then you can just explain it. And if it is hurtful to talk about, because you can be okay single but still not want to talk about it, you can just say, I'm not comfortable talking about this. Like
Yeah.
it's
I think
okay to
that's
have like
yeah.
this buzzword of boundaries and things like that, because I feel like boundaries and trauma and triggered like are all these buzzwords these days.
Yeah.
But having that boundary of saying I just don't like talking about it. Like there's so much more interesting stuff about me than my singlehood. Can we talk
Yeah.
about something else? I think is okay to say as well.
Yeah. Although I will say that I think it creates this sort of I don't know if catch-22 here is like the correct term, but like because people just the one of the reasons why people ask, which from my experience, the people who actually care. I'm talking just about people who actually care and concerned and really genuinely want to understand. I feel like the reason why it's so hard for them is because they don't know. And if you don't
Mhm.
share and if you don't talk about it, then people won't ever understand. For example, my sisters met but their husbands at a very young age. They got married at a young age and they don't know what it's like to be single for a long period of time, certainly not in their 30s. So for them, they don't know any
Mm.
better. And so they don't know they've never experienced enjoying being single and living life on your own like that. And again, especially not in their 30s. So then of course they're gonna look at you being single in your 30s and say, I wonder what it's like. I wonder why she isn't finding it. Like it's just to them it's sort of mind-boggling, I would say.
Yeah.
So then I think if you don't share it and if you don't explain it, then no one is ever going to understand. Same with a situation like between men and women. If men don't explain themselves to women and if women don't explain themselves to men, then no one's ever going to understand or learn the other side. So yes, you don't owe anyone any explanations and you don't have to get into it when you don't feel ready or don't feel comfortable. But I think it is important to share it with the people who care about you and you care about them and you just want to, yes, it's not all your life is about, of course, but it's a part of you. No matter how you look at it, being single, especially in your 30s, is a part of your life, you know? It's like it doesn't define you, but it's part of what defines you. You know, being single in my 30s definitely defines me in the way of it made me stronger, it made me more resilient, it made me more thick skin. So in that sense, it defines me. What can you do about it, you know? So I think it is
Absolutely.
important to talk about it and to change the narrative about it. Because if you don't ever say anything, then people are just going to assume things and then they're just going to feel sorry for you. And then it's just, you know, which creates the whole negative stigmas about
Yeah,
being single. So,
turn it into an adventure. I mean, today,
yeah,
I mean, obviously, I love JT and I am
yeah,
in love with my son. Like, and it's the cliche thing of I'm happy, like, I couldn't imagine life without them. But
yeah.
there are a bunch of things that I can't do because I'm in a relationship and have a child. And I was talking to my brother about this and like other single friends. And I was just like, maybe a bit of living vicariously through them, but because they also live vicariously through me and my
Mhm.
child and things like that.
Yeah,
And I think that's fine. And so, when you're single, sure, there are things that you don't have that I have because I'm in a relationship, but there are a bunch of things that you have that I don't have. And
exactly.
that's great as well. That is
Mhm.
great as well. And I think it's Michelle said it very well, much better than I did. But just kind of like making it an adventure and kind of showcasing the positive of it, being okay with the fact that some of it is negative, and that's fine. Not
Yeah,
shying away from it because we talked about it last episode. Not shying away from the loneliness and owning it, but glorifying the good of it.
yeah.
And
And
so,
I think it
moving on to
mhm.
the
I just wanted to add that it's just, it's also, which this also connects with the next question, but also learning how to be happy for other people who have what you want. And I think that's really big part of it is
absolutely,
that resentment
absolutely,
is, for me, for a long time, I was resentful of like, why am I the single sister? Why am I both my sisters happy and married and I'm miserable? And I was miserable because I made my singlehood miserable. And what can you do? I didn't meet the love of my life at a young age like they did. And it took me time to actually learn to be properly happy for them and for my friends. And I think, it ties into to the next question, which is why does
I'll
social
just
media
I'm,
make
I'm
me
sorry,
feel yeah, go on.
I will just add to that because I think what you said is beautiful.
Oh,
Um,
thank you.
and I'm just kind of looking at educating Teddy and how it kind of, they say don't tell your child what he's not allowed to do, tell him what he is allowed to do.
Mhm.
Because
Yeah.
if I say don't touch that, Teddy is 11 months old. Like he's just going to see me go like this and pointing at something. Don't he's just going,
Yeah.
oh my god, there's something going on here. And what I should be doing, so what I try to do is kind of refocus his energy on like, look at this toy,
Yeah.
and it's the same with what you just said. It's just, you know, if you're miserable that you are the single sister, then you're focusing on the misery. And so you're cultivating the misery. Whereas if you're,
Mhm.
oh my God, I'm so happy you're getting married, it's the happiness and it's getting married and it's and that's the mind shift that you're looking for.
Exactly.
And so moving on to the next question of why does social media make me feel like my life is being compared to everyone getting married and having families? Well, because that's your algorithm.
Yeah.
Delete your social media, open up something new, and focus on cute cats and recipes, and be happy for the couple
Yeah.
and move on. I mean, that's short because that's what you're looking at. It's so it's
Yeah.
my social media has nothing to do with getting married and having kids, and it was having kids a few months ago because I kept looking at the videos of children and education and things like that, and it
Yeah.
drove me mad. And it took me ages to get away from that algorithm, and now it's just Michael McIntyre and recipes and things like that,
Yeah.
and it's but be happy
Well,
for when you see the people.
yeah. I think, well, my social media right now is all about weddings just because I am planning a wedding. But
Exactly,
yeah.
it's what
But
you're
I think
focusing on.
yeah, exactly, which is it's just also very important. What you focusing on? But I think it's divided to three aspects over here. Is one, people are very mindful of what they post online. You are
Yes,
seeing a very, very specific, edited, tiny little moment of their life. And you don't know what happens behind closed doors. You don't know what happened behind the scenes. You don't know what's going on. So don't compare your life to their edited life. Okay, that's first of all. Second of all, is learning how to not focus on just what's going on in everyone else's life online. There's too much emphasis on that. So what? So people are posting online different things, and you're busy living your life either vicariously through them or just comparing yourself to them. If you want that kind of life, go out and live a life, worth sharing and posting. And third is, again, learning to be happy for these people instead of looking at a picture of your friend traveling the world, or a colleague getting married and going on her honeymoon. You instead of feeling miserable about it and being jealous and comparing yourself or resenting them, is learning to be happy for them. And I think that mindset shift is what's going to help you get there as well, because as long as you're focused on just being bitter, it's all you're ever gonna be and all you're ever going to attract.
I think it's such an easy, we talk about mind shift in the previous episode, and there are big jumps to like doable but big jumps. Whereas here, it's
Yeah.
feeling jealousy and envy, shifting it to admiration. Like
Yeah.
that's such an easy shift of just it's easy to fall back to, sure, but it's an easy kind of like I'm feeling jealousy and so easy to catch and be like, why? Because I want that. I was like, but what I want exists and it's possible, and so yay, it exists.
Mhm.
Um, but it's just like we're talking about safe food, but if you are looking at content that's making you feel bad, like before shifting mindset, before then focus on content that's feeling good. Like I'm
Mhm.
working for this company that's selling lamps, and so we've got an Instagram, and like before I took the Instagram, it was used by men, and so single men at the time. So yeah, you can imagine the feed. It took us like 2 months to get the proper lamp and decoration feeds, and just like to get away from like the cliche feed of nothing to do with decorating and lamps. And there's nothing bad with the other feed. It's just that's not what we wanted for the professional
Yeah.
Instagram. Well, here it's the same. It'll take you a good couple of months to kind of, I wouldn't even say get off social media. Like, to be honest, I'm just like, looking at doom scrolling and things like that. And obviously our podcast kind of relies on social media and things, but it's just, finding ways to reconnect with people.
Yeah.
Why is my social media feel like I'm comparing it to getting married and having families? I'll get off social media and go and see people.
Exactly. And I think the next question is, how do I stay confident in my own timeline when society makes me feel like I'm running out of time? And I think it's exactly that.
Yeah.
Go live a life worth posting on social media, but don't post it.
But don't post it.
Yeah, I think it's funny because I had a conversation. It's become planning a wedding has opened my eyes to many different things I've never seen before. So apparently now it's very popular to have like a social media expert at your wedding. Like become this whole thing. Is to hire someone who's in charge of filming social content, which is ridiculous to me. And when I got offered this by the company that is providing us with the photography services, I was like, dude, we were just a month and a half in Thailand and I did not post a single story. So
Yeah.
so we're not really that type and I feel like when you're too busy living your life and having fun, you completely forget about
Yeah.
posting. You completely it's just waste of time to like get the right filter, get the right angle, get the right quote to put on it. I don't know, it's just a waste of time. And I think that's the key of not comparing
Yeah.
and not feeling like you're behind in life. It's just stepping away from the things that are making you feel bad and just go fill your life up with things that
Go
make you
just
feel good.
Yeah. I mean, it's okay to post,
Yeah.
but
just not all the
I
time,
think
not living through
just not
it.
all the time. And I was, how Instagram became this thing of sharing pictures with your loved ones of what you were doing, and it
Mhm.
just became what it is, and whatever. But if you want to post for other people to just kind of like for your brother to see that you're on holiday and your sister to recommend a place to eat, and that's fine, but don't make it. I was listening to a podcast about interior design the other day, and they were talking about having the Instagrammable home and how it's such a shame that it's become that, because your home is beautiful but not Instagrammable. And the Instagrammable home is just so not practical. Like you
Yeah.
can nobody lives in an Instagrammable home.
Mhm.
Nobody does. Like they say like because the setup is done in such a weird way and everything is, there's no clutter. Like there are no homes that don't have any clutter, and and yeah, and it's just, and no home is Instagram. No practical homey home is Instagrammable, and yet people want to have this Instagrammable life, and so these really kind of specific type of colors and specific types of setups, and it's a shame. And if you want to have an Instagrammable life, it's not going to be comfortable.
No. I actually saw a video not long ago about how there's certain Instagram homes for rent. So basically influencers rent apartments and pretend that it's theirs or pretend that they've gone on vacation. And I feel like, that's what you're comparing your life to. That's
Yeah,
what you are comparing yourself to. And it's absolutely ridiculous when you think about it. And, as long as you're continuing to compare your life to what's going on social media or in general to anyone else's life, you're never going to be happy with what you have. And there's a cliche, it's a cliche for a reason, but the grass isn't greener on the other side. The grass is greener where you water it.
yeah.
And
Ooh,
if you yeah. And if you don't water your own grass, it's never going to be green or it's just and I feel like you overlook that. And so of course you're gonna feel like time is running out and and you don't see all
mm,
the hard work that other people put in to having their green grass. So, I think
yeah,
you just have to step away from all these things, these toxic spaces, and put yourself in more positive ones and ones that make
yeah,
you feel good, ones that make you happy, and people who truly care, people who are happy for you, people who are you know, in your life for a reason are just going to be happy no matter what your status is, They're just going to be happy for you as long as they see that you're happy. And if you're showing them that you're miserable, of course they're going to be concerned. And of course they're going to, blame your singlehood for it.
yeah. It's what you practically answered the last questions was how do I deal with family gatherings where everyone's paired up or asking me about my relationship status.
Mhm.
You want to go towards events that make you feel good and avoid the events that make you feel
Yeah,
not so good. And I think the events where you don't have any allies. So I don't know, a big wedding where that a bunch of people are going to be in relationships and you're going to be the only single one and whatever. I think it's okay to just not go.
exactly. You don't have to learn how to feel
And
comfortable on your own at a wedding. That's not a measurement.
exactly, it's exactly. And then like we're talking about New Year's, and I told my brother like offered my brother to come along with us. And honestly, we're not going to have an amazing New Year's. Like we're two 30-something-year-olds with two kids. Like
Yeah. And it's on a
it's just
Wednesday. People have to get up on Thursday and go to work.
it's just. I said, but you can come here with us, and he was just like, no, I'm good. I was like, it's
Yeah.
fine because I love him and I'm not taking it personally. And like, if people are taking issue to you, you know, then you need to rethink your people. And
Yeah.
I think Sophie and I think people listening, like they know their people, and it's when you're in your 30s, like you can voice these things clearly and it will be accepted.
Yeah. And I think, you also have to find like as we were saying, the good stuff about where you are, For a long time, I felt miserable about being the single sister and vacations and on holidays and whatever. But then I started just shifting my focus on like, how cool is it that I'm single and I have a different, experience than everyone else. And I can come to this vacation, I can come to this holiday, I can come to this family event or family meal and just, be free. I'm with myself. I don't have to worry about feeding kids. I don't have to worry about a husband. I don't have to worry about anyone else. I could just be there. I can be the cool aunt. I can just, there's a lot of things to focus on. And I think that's the important part about it, is focusing on what you do have in that moment and that situation,
Yeah.
and not what you don't
I
have,
mean,
not comparing yourself.
take it from somebody who has just had her biological child.
Mm-hmm.
So honestly, Teddy is kind of like a missing piece of my puzzle. I love him so damn much, but
Yeah.
he's not my whole puzzle.
Mhm.
And I still need everything else to feel like a human being, like let alone a
Yeah.
woman. I need everything else, and and it's a struggle to kind of get everything else. And I think, and so from this, I want people to take of just, it's not the end objective. Like the end objective is finding a balance, and that is
Yeah.
constant, and it's constantly changing. And so, I think the more you do it now single, of like making good, strong habits, grounded habits, then the easier it'll be to stick with it.
Exactly. Well, that's a good point to leave off this episode, and let us know how you cope with family events or holidays on your own, and what positive aspects are there for you in it.
Yay!
Yay!
Happy New Year!
Happy New Year! See you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye!
That's it for this episode of Pop Culture Cupid.
Thanks for hanging out with us. We're glad you're here.
Make sure to subscribe on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you're listening.
You can find us on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Reddit for more behind-the-scenes real talk.
And if you want to support the show, check us out on Patreon.
Until next time, be kind, be happy, be healthy, and remember, heartbreak isn't the end.
It's the plot twist.